Hey guys, welcome back to the video. Brantley and I just finished watching Thor Love and Thunder. So here are our initial spoiler-free reactions. Before we get into it, if you guys are new here, make sure to subscribe and notifications on so you don't miss any time I open a new video or go live. Both are wasting more time. Let's get right into it, starting with Brantley. Your initial thoughts?
So overall, I think the movie has good moments, but overall as a whole, I don't think it comes together like that well. I think that it has like some good moments intertwined. I think the second act it's not bad. Third act is pretty good, but the first act is very rough. And I'd say most of the second act is pretty rough. But I'll say it's a film that kind of like it gets better as it goes on. But I still don't think as a whole like
it's really not the best like crafted thing. I agree. Like it takes steps. Like every single time a new act or a new like big thing happened, it felt like it improved, but it was not at a good starting point. Like it never felt like it started somewhere that strong. I will say, without giving any spoilers away, the opening is really good. I was really blown away with how they characterized Gorr right away, and I was like, oh, we're getting a lot of Gorr here. And then as the movie went on, the writing started to take its toll, and it wasn't the best.
I thought Gorr was good in the beginning. They set him up pretty well, but I would say as the film went on, kind of like what someone said in the fan reactions, like it doesn't feel like he has much to do.
I think Christian Bale is giving a really interesting performance, but he doesn't have much to do. But when he's actually allowed to do those handful of really dramatic scenes, I think he pulls it off.
I think that was the biggest issue. I think Christian Bale tries a lot like to give a great performance and bring a lot to the character, but I think in terms of his writing, the writing just did not help him out the character out that much. I think if the film wrote Gorr better on top of Bale's performance, I think it could have really been special.
Yeah, I do want to talk about Gorr, obviously, but I mean, I think the most important thing to talk about here is the writing, because it's not good. It is honestly, in my opinion, probably one of the poorest uses of horror humor in any Marvel movie ever, because it undermines the story completely. It takes away everything we wanted from Gorr, everything we want from this romance between Thor and Jane, and it just all throws it out the window. Like, it's all done for jokes, and it sucks.
Yeah, I think the comedic aspect of this movie definitely felt a lot more overbearing compared to Ragnarok.
And forced.
It feels a bit more natural and a bit like just better. Where this one, I feel like this one's like, oh, like you guys like Ragnarok, so you're gonna love this.
Yeah, like, they just took it to level 1,000, but that's not what we wanted.
Exactly, it just didn't feel the same. So I think it just tried to kind of replicate a feeling instead of just trying to like be its own thing.
Yeah, and I think in terms of being its own thing, there were a lot of unique ideas here. Like there was especially with the Guardians. Like I like the way they were implemented into this movie. I didn't mind that. Honestly, this movie has me more excited for Guardians 3 than it does any other future Thor project. Actually, I take that back. Any project that Marvel is making that involves Taika Waititi. And I hate to be the guy that slanders like the creators. I don't usually do that, but it's gotten to a point where it's just repetitive. Before we watched this movie, I told Brantley, I'm actually I don't think I'll be tired of Taika's style for a while. I'm tired of it.
Yeah, I think he just did too much. He kind of dipped a little bit too much into his style for this one. I think it was really just overbearing for them.
Yeah, and we also, of course, have to talk about Jane Foster. I thought she was good. I thought she's a good character. I would honestly say Gorr is my favorite character in this movie, even though he was undermined by a lot of the comedy. What his performance brought to this whole movie really carried it, in my opinion.
I would agree. I mean, honestly, though, for Jane, I would say, I preferred her over Thor in this movie. I wouldn't mind if she was the main character of this film, to be honest. And Thor kind of took more of a back seat, because I feel like there was definitely a more interesting and emotional story to tell with her and what she goes through. So I feel like there definitely was something more there than what we got with Thor in this movie and his arc, which was still good, but I feel like it could have definitely been better if it was maybe a Jane-centered story a bit more.
Yeah, and in terms of just the plot lines in this movie was also very messy. It never felt for example, Thor 1, I can't speak on Dark World because I haven't seen it in a while, but Thor 1 and Ragnarok felt like they had real emotional arcs. Even Thor Ragnarok, at the end, it knew when to get serious. He lost his eye to Hela, and it was this thing of channeling the energy back into yourself. This movie had none of that. It didn't do anything serious at all, and when it tried to, I couldn't take it serious because there was nothing built up from the beginning. I think everything that we're saying here, it just leads back to the writing.
I agree. I mean, I feel like even the serious moments, they're kind of always cut short too. They were even last that long to have a good staying effect, except for maybe the end of the final act, but that's
too late.
Movie.
It's too late.
So I thought before that, even the serious moments, they're just so short that you don't have time to even feel any sense of tension or anything in those moments. So
yeah, I agree. I think, of course, another thing we have to talk about are the visuals in this movie. I think it's good visually. I don't think it's anything spectacular or as spectacular as I wanted. I thought that the final act really did the visuals well. I mean, honestly, I would say the Shadow Realm fight, without giving any spoilers away because that's in the trailer, trailer. I do think the Shadow Realm fight and on it was good.
Definitely the best fight scene in the movie, I would say, was the shower room. I would say that's probably when the movie really kind of... I'd say that's when I was like, okay, this movie could, like... I don't know, I saw, like, the potential a bit more, like, what it could have been with, like, the shower room fight. That was probably my favorite part of the movie, was definitely that shower room fight, so...
Yeah, I agree. I think the Shadow Realm fight was like the peak for me in terms of just like not only the action, but just like what I was getting from Thor. Like I wanted not only the Thor action, but also the Valkyrie moment, the mighty Thor moment. Like without giving any spoilers away, I thought that the moments that they had in that Shadow Realm fight were super unique and more unique than we got in any other part of this movie. But I don't really have much else to say about it. Honestly, at the end of the day, it's just an average MCU movie for me. I think it's honestly bottom middle tier for the MCU.
Nah, I would agree. I think I told you, I think it's kind of average, but leaning a bit more towards bad instead of good, I would say. But I think overall as a whole, like it just definitely could have been better. But I wouldn't say it's like obviously like worst of the worst. I think that it still has enjoyable moments. It's still a watchable movie in my opinion. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's anything special either.
I think the fact that it's 2 hours works in its favor of like making it rewatchable. Like I wouldn't hate revisiting this. Like it wouldn't be a hell on earth to rewatch this movie.
Exactly.
Like it is like, for example, in my opinion, personally, Captain Marvel. Like I don't want to rewatch that. This, when it comes on Disney Plus, I'll probably rewatch it. Like I don't think it's a bad movie. I think it's just average to good. With that being said, final scores, what would you give it?
I'll probably give it a 6 out of 10. I could see it maybe being like a 6.5, but right now I'll probably give it like a 6.
Yeah, and for me, it's a 6.5 again. I think it's just an average movie, but honestly, for me personally, it's leaning more towards the good side.
Not really. It just wasn't like, I don't know, it's just nothing really like there. It felt like it was a decent experience, but nothing like just there really like really to pull
The
me
first
into it.
act, this movie felt like an SNL skit, and it got better overall, but it didn't feel like I was watching a Marvel movie.
Exactly.
And I don't really like that, because Multiverse of Madness, Eternals, even Shang-Chi, they did that for me. It felt like I was immersed into the movies. This didn't have me immersed until the end of the second act with the Shadow Realm. So those are all of our thoughts on Thor, Love, and Thunder, but you guys can check out all of Brantley's socials. They'll be linked in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.